Yeah, first and foremost, I will thank you, all my followers, or all people that are really so much interested in beef or meat goats or even dairy goats. But first and foremost, I have to ask you a question on board. Sincerely, I'm again speaking about goat farming, as you know, specifically. The reasons why I insist on goat farming, it doesn't mean that it's the only animal that makes money, but it is the project that doesn't give you a lot of headache, like the way you see piggery, the way you see poultry. What do I mean by not giving you a lot of headache? It's a project that doesn't mean that it's supposed to have you all the time. So long as you put the structures in place, you put the management in place, you put the feed in place, it's a project that you can do without even your existence. Believe me or not, unless your management has failed, whether you're around or not, if the management is not proper, then you'll never get what you want. Today, this is what I want to discuss, or I want to pose a question to you. I would like you to tell me of any country whereby it overproduced meat and the meat was not eaten, or it floated, that nobody could even eat meat, or nowhere he could maybe export meat. This is my take, and this is my challenge always on my head. Somebody coming to me is really serious with money. He's even interested in advancing over 500 millions, and we supply him the meat. And me, as me a person, I cannot afford to do the supply, the consistency of the supply of that project. My dear Africans or countrymen, this is an opportunity that we could really use. This is an opportunity that we would think about, because first and foremost, people have land. Like in my country, people have a lot of land. People have a bigger chunk of land. And if somebody is thinking about a project, let me say somebody is thinking about the cattle project, is concentrating on cattle project, not knowing that there is what they call the small ruminants, which are the goats. The reason why are small ruminants, even their feeding is very small. They are not heavy feeders like the way you see the cattle. But in small ruminants, you can accumulate more money, even better than those in cattle. So what people do, where people go wrong is people do what they call clearing of the land, such that they can allow more grasses to develop. But in that case, people don't know the species of the grasses they are supposed to clear. You find a farmer doing what they call carpet bombing, somebody clearing everything, and then he's only thinking about the low grasses that can be fed by those animals which are called the cattle. But in this case, what am I trying to say? If you're dealing with two animals, you have to know which kind of shrubs you're supposed to leave. You also leave them in your area of feeding or your field, such that you can have the goats as also another source of income, and also have cattle as your other source of income or the main project. This is my take. The square miles that people have here, the 300 acres, the 100 acres, I request, if we could know how to manage the grasses, we introduce the goats. I have never, and I don't think whether it can happen, to have many goats in the country and we don't have where to sell them. This is my take. I do not think that if we have more goats, we shall not have where to sell the meat. I've never heard in any country that goat's meat floated and no one could eat the goat's meat. Secondly, if goats were like moringa, because I know many people brought in new projects. They brought in moringa, they brought in simanya, either cucumber, they brought in many projects that have come, agronomic projects, and they have floated vanilla or those kind of stuff, you know. But the reason why those projects floated, I think it was because they were not eatable at that level. They had to go into a processing plan. You get it? And two, they are, most of them are perishables. You get, but an animal is not a perishable project. It's not a perishable thing. So that means even if you have more animals in your place, they will never rot. The more they stay, the more they attain more weight. The more they attain the weight, the more money you expect to get out of the project. So I promise you people that goats can never be like moringa. It can never be like vanilla. It can never be like any other agronomy project. Many people do tomatoes and then the market get off. Many people go for many other things that happen. But for me, my take is this is a life. An animal, the more it stays, the more it attains weight. So what you're trying to do, what I'm trying to explain to you guys is that this is a project that we could all do because the market is there. Many people are really willing to have our meat of our country or of our countries. There is some countries that can produce goat's meat, but in a very expensive way. Those are the countries that don't even have green pastures like the way we have here. So you people, you have land, you have 500 acres, you have square miles, but they are underutilized. Somebody's having a square mile, but if you look at the ratio of the animals years as compared to the land years, they are very low. So actually, even the percentage of the goats is very, very low because we don't have enough of the goats in the country. First and foremost, this is a project that I think it will never float. First of all, it is a project that every person is looking for. Everybody is looking for the goat's meat all over the world. We shall also look at the quality of the animals or the quality of the meat. But that will be next steps. After accumulating the number of animals, then we also have to look at the quality finally. But these hybrids like the Boer, Savannas, Kalahari, their meat is marbled. You get it? Make sure that you balance your meals very well and the animals can produce the marbled meat. So, my statement is telling you, or my statement is, let's utilize the nature we have and do a project that is viable. We do a project that can never float. If, let's say we could use 50% of our grazing areas into goat farming, and then we also utilize the 50% to the cattle, because the reason why I want people to do cattle or cattle fattening or whatever, but the cost of investment, the youth, we are many as per now, and we can hardly afford to buy a cow, but we can easily buy a goat. So if youth could get more involved in goat farming, because it takes shorter time, a goat to reach 6 months is ready to be eaten. So if youth could use that chance of doing goat farming, because first and foremost, it can't stop you from doing your work. Wherever you get a simple job, you can do it. Then it can allow you, it can give you time to do other work as well doing this. It's not like dairy cows that you need to monitor the milk, you need to do what, but you can invest, monitor every week, and then the project produces. So the youth, would go for this because it takes shorter time than any other project. I think let me just wish you the best.